Okay, I'm going to start this morning by welcoming everyone. Welcome to Wat Tung Yu. Nice to see everyone here. Welcome to everyone online who's joining us as well. Today is our group learning program where each Sunday and Wednesday I get together with students, slowly helping them to understand the path to enlightenment. We use this book, Developing a Life Practice, The Path That Leads to Enlightenment, as our text for this particular program, where each Sunday I go chapter by chapter sharing a talk from the book. And then on Wednesdays, I get together with students, do meditation with you, and then just open up to any and all questions that you guys have. So I'm going to start with meditation, helping you guys to learn a bit about the teachings of the Buddha through his meditation that he taught. And then afterwards, I'm going to open up to any and all questions that you guys would like to ask related to the teachings of the Buddha. I'll give you guys a little bit of a taste of the teachings of the Buddha, the way that the Buddha taught them and what they're for and these kinds of things. But first, let's do meditation together and then we'll get into that. If you'd like to join for meditation, what I'm going to do is guide you in a breathing mindfulness meditation session. This is really helpful to train your mind to eliminate things like anger, sadness, frustration, irritation, annoyance, guilt, shame, fear, stress, anxiety, loneliness, boredom, shyness, resentment, jealousy, because by the time you get to enlightenment, you will have eliminated all of those from the mind. Oftentimes people think it's other people that are causing them to be angry or frustrated, but it's actually your own mind causing this. This is why you can actually eliminate it. The Buddha taught how to attain this enlightened mental state because he figured it out for himself, and then he spent the rest of his life helping other people to be able to understand how to experience that same enlightened mental state. So if you'd like to join for meditation, the way that I start is I start with some chanting to ease into the meditation. You can see these chants and even chant along if you'd like. They're on a laminated sheet over there on the cabinet. You're welcome to help yourself and get a laminated sheet and chant along with me if you'd like. For anybody who's online, if you'd like to see these chanting sheets, you can go to buddhadailywisdom.com, click on free books, and then if you scroll down towards the bottom, you'll be able to see the daily chanting sheet there. These chants are to help ease the mind into meditation and get more benefit out of the meditation itself. During the lifetime of the Buddha, he used chanting as a way to help his students to commit the teachings to memory. Every 2 weeks, his students would come together and they would recite his teachings orally, and this is how they remembered his teachings. So when you're chanting, it's important for you to understand that this isn't a rite, a ritual, or a ceremony, worship, prayer, or anything like this. Today, we use it in order to ease the mind into meditation and get more benefit out of the meditation itself. But during the lifetime of the Buddha, it was used as a learning tool to be able to help commit the teachings to memory. If you read the English translations, you're going to see that there's a lot of appreciation, gratitude, and respect for the Buddha. And because of this, I don't even think that the Buddha created these chants himself. They were probably created by his students, either during his life or after his death, because a Buddha wouldn't walk around and say, "Here, chant these chants to me out of respect for me." This would be ego or arrogance. And a Buddha would have eliminated that. An enlightened being would have eliminated their ego. They wouldn't think of themselves as being above anybody else. But if you learn from a teacher how to move from anger, sadness, frustration, and all these other discontent feelings to the peace and joy that is the enlightened mental state, and this teacher didn't want anything from you or expect anything from you, you'd probably have a lot of appreciation, gratitude, and respect for that person too. So that's why I suspect that these came from his students either during his life or after his death. So you're more than welcome to chant along, but it's just important for you to understand that it's not a rite, a ritual, or a ceremony, or worship, or prayer, or anything like that, because the Buddha never taught any of those kinds of things as part of his teachings. If you've been exposed to those kinds of things and it was cast as if it was the teachings of the Buddha, those aren't the teachings of the Buddha. Everything that the Buddha taught is all about training your mind. It's not about anything mystical or magical or anything like that. So I'll be chanting these on the way into meditation, and you're welcome to chant along. Once we get into the meditation, I'm going to be providing you guidance, kind of instructing you in the meditation while we're actually meditating. But then there's going to be a period of time where it's just quiet, and we're just all meditating together. Everyone here at the temple and anyone joining us online will just all be meditating at the same time. Now, during that period of time of quietness, I'm sure you're going to hear occasional sounds. You might hear a car going by, you might hear a bird chirping or a dog barking or something like this. Someone might sneeze or cough here because you can't be in an environment where it's permanently quiet. If your mind craves permanent quietness, when you hear a sound, you'll cause your mind to be annoyed or frustrated. This is your own mind that's causing this. It's not the outside world. The world around you is impermanent. It's constantly changing. But the unenlightened mind is going to crave permanence, wanting things to be a certain way permanently. And one of the things that it can crave is permanent silence during meditation. And you can understand that there's no environment where you can experience permanent quietness. So you're going to hear occasional sounds while we're meditating. And if you understand that this is normal, that it's impermanence, that sounds will arise, they will change, and they will fade away, you can reside peaceful and joyful, understanding that the world is functioning exactly the way it was intended to function, which is with impermanence. After that period of time of quietness, we're going to come out of the meditation with some more chanting. And then that's where I'll start today's class, just kind of introducing you to the teachings of the Buddha just a little bit, giving you a little taste of his teachings. Then I'm going to open up to any and all questions that you guys have. So if you'd like to join along, there's actually 4 positions that the Buddha taught for meditation. He taught seated, lying, standing, and walking, because you can't actually be in the same position permanently. This body is going to change, and you're going to need different positions at different times. You kind of create a tool belt for yourself on your journey to enlightenment, where you have these different positions to use at different times. Oftentimes people are learning in the seated position, so I'll teach you guys a little bit about the seated position to help you guys get started. But then in your journey to enlightenment, you'd like to learn these other positions as well, because you're going to need them at different times. With the seated position, you could be sitting on the floor in a chair. Maybe if you're at home, you're on a bench or a sofa or a wheelchair. You can really sit however you're comfortable. There isn't just one way to sit, because that would be permanence, where everybody's body is a little bit different. So you need to find what's comfortable for you. I'm going to share with you some suggestions and some things to consider, so you can implement the things that I'm sharing, or you could sit however you like, even if I didn't teach it to you. All that's important is that the body's comfortable, because if it was painful, it would be very challenging for you to train your mind. But if the body was really luxurious, it would also be challenging there too. So you would like the body to be in the middle, where it's comfortable, not luxurious and not painful, but comfortable. So if you're sitting on the floor, you might have some cushions under your rear. This is something that you might decide to use. And then if you're going to bring your legs together in the cross-leg position, you like to do that just lightly. Whereas if they're real tight, it can impede the circulation and cause pain in the lower body. Some people like to put their legs off the mat. This gets the hips up in the air, and it lessens the angle at the hips, the knees, and the ankles. So you might consider that as well. The Buddha put his right hand over his left with his thumbs together, and he put this into his lap. If this is comfortable for you, you could use it. But again, it's not about everyone doing it exactly the same way. Some people might choose to put their palms on their thighs or on their knees. You might decide to put your palms up or rest your hands comfortably in your lap. These are all options as well. For those of you guys that are on a chair or on a bench or a sofa or wheelchair, it's the same thing. You can sit however you're comfortable. Some people like to put their feet flat on the floor or lightly cross at the ankles, but you can see me sitting in a chair here with my legs crossed, so this is an option for you as well. And then you can put your hands and arms wherever you're comfortable. In terms of your upper body, you would like this to be erect with the sternum up and the shoulders back. It's going to help keep the mind attentive and alert during the meditation, because this is a dedicated, active, purposeful training session where you're eliminating certain unwholesome qualities from the mind and you're cultivating certain wholesome qualities in the mind. So you would like the mind to be attentive and alert during this training. So by having the sternum up and the shoulders back, it'll help keep the mind attentive and alert so you can actively train the mind. It also makes it easy for you to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. Because if you were slouched like this, the mind would have a tendency to be dull or lethargic. But if you were real rigid, the mind could be overactive or uptight. So you'd like the upper body to be in the middle, where the sternum's up and the shoulders back, and the mind can be attentive and alert, and it's easy to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose. So again, I'm going to ease us into meditation with some chanting, which you guys are welcome to join in on, and then I'll come back in with the guidance to help you. Arahang Samma Sambuddho Bhagava Bhutang Bhagavanang Apivateyami Savakato Bhagavata Tammo Dhammang Namasami สุปฏิปันโนภะคะวะโตสาวกสังโฆสังฆังนามามินะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะอิติปิโสภะคะวะอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธวิชาจารนังสัมมุโนสกาโตโรกาวิตุอนุเตโรปุริสานามาสติสัตตตวามนุสนังปุตโตภะคะวะติ Okay, with the lower body and hands and arms comfortable, and the upper body erect, just close the eyes and start breathing in through the nose and out through the nose. Here you're just looking to establish the breath, a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath, not forced or controlled, just a gradual inhale through the nose, experiencing the full breath. And then whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. Your breath may not match up with the guidance that I'm providing, and that's okay. This is your practice. I'm just here for guidance. You can use this voice as a reminder that whenever you get to the next inhale, breathing gradually through the nose, developing a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. And then whenever you're ready, exhale out through the nose, experiencing the full breath. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the breath well established, start fixating the mind on the breath, either the sound of the breath coming into the nose or the sensation of air moving over the skin into the nose. The breath is the present moment. Fixate the mind on the breath the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. With the mind fixated on the breath, whenever you notice that it moves off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. No need to observe the thought, label it, judge it, analyze it, or even try to figure out where it's coming from. Whenever you notice that the mind is moved off the breath, cut that off, let it go, and come back to the breath, the present moment. Breathing in and out. Breathing in and out. I'm going to be quiet now and let you do this work of focusing on the breath, cutting off and letting go anytime the mind moves off the breath. You have nowhere to go. There's nothing to do. No one needs you right now. This is your time to focus on the breath. Breathing in and out. อะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธมหาเขวาพุทธังมหาเขวันหังอภิวาเทมิสวากขาโตมหาเขวัตตาธัมโมธัมมังนามัสสามิสุปฏิปันโนมหาเขวัตโตสาวกสังโฆสังฆังนามามินะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะนะโมตัสสะภะคะวะโตอะระหะโตสัมมาสัมพุทธัสสะอิติปิโสมหาเขวาอะระหังสัมมาสัมพุทโธวิชาจารณังสัมมุโนสกขาโตโรกาวิตุอนุเตโรปุริสาธัมมาสติสัตตาตาวามนุสนังพุทโธภะคะวะติ Okay, if you guys would like to slowly make your way out of meditation. Once again, welcome to everyone. Nice to see everyone here this morning. Welcome to everyone joining us online as well. As I was sharing, today is our group learning program where each Sunday and Wednesday I get together with students and helping them to understand the path to enlightenment. On Sundays, I do a talk in this book, Developing a Life Practice, The Path That Leads to Enlightenment. I go chapter by chapter each Sunday. This Sunday, we're going to be on chapter 5, which is titled The Eightfold Path, the path for all humans to enlightenment. That's the core central teaching of the Buddha and what's going to help you to be able to get to enlightenment. Without understanding that teaching, you would have no ability to get to enlightenment. So I'm going to be teaching that this Sunday. On Wednesdays, what I do is I do meditation with students, and then I just open up to any and all questions that you guys have. You can ask questions on other days that I'm teaching too, but on Wednesdays, it's just kind of like a free-form question day. So what I'm going to do is just give you guys a little bit of a taste of the teachings of the Buddha, helping you guys just to understand them a little bit, and then I'm going to open up to any questions that you guys have. Whether you're here at the temple or you're online, you can ask questions. If you have questions here at the temple, we have microphones up here in this white bowl. If you could come get a microphone and you press the gray button, you're going to see the lights come on, and then you just hold that microphone up to your chin, and we'll be able to hear you here at the temple, and they'll be able to hear you online as well. If you speak here without a microphone, they won't be able to hear you online. And then you can just keep these microphones with you, because you might have more than one question, or someone around you might have a question, and you can just share it with them. And when you're not using it, if you could just turn it off, that way we won't get feedback through the speakers, that would be great. And then anybody who's online, if you would like to ask questions, you can put that into Facebook, YouTube, or in Zoom. In the comment section, I'll be able to see that. Or in Zoom, you can electronically raise your hand and ask any and all questions that you like. So this meditation that we just did, it's called Breathing Mindfulness Meditation. This is a primary form of training that the Buddha used to be able to make his way to enlightenment. There's more than just meditation that you would need to be able to get to enlightenment, but meditation is surely important. You wouldn't be able to get to enlightenment without meditation. So you can't meditate your way to enlightenment. This is one of the biggest myths about the life story of the Buddha. People think that he sat under a tree, he meditated, and instantly got to enlightenment, and this just isn't true. It was gradual training, gradual practice, and gradual progress that led to him awakening his mind to enlightenment. But in terms of meditation, this particular meditation is the primary form that he used because it addresses the primary problem that he discovered in the mind. By the time you get to enlightenment, your mind is completely peaceful, calm, serene, and content with joy. You will no longer experience any discontent feelings. You will have eliminated anger, sadness, frustration, irritation, annoyance, guilt, shame, fear, stress, anxiety, loneliness, boredom, shyness, resentment, jealousy. All these feelings and others are completely eliminated from the mind. And this comes through training of the mind. You're not believing a bunch of things and then hoping something good happens when you die. The Buddha is not teaching you rules and commandments. He's not giving you rites and rituals and ceremonies and worship or prayer or anything like that. Instead, he's providing you the tools and techniques that it took for him to be able to train his mind to get to this enlightened mental state so that you can also experience that same enlightened mental state. By the time you train your mind to get to enlightenment, not only will you have eliminated those discontent feelings, the mind will be completely peaceful, calm, serene, and content with joy permanently. You'll notice that there's focus, concentration, clarity, and deep memory in the mind because the mind's performing optimally. The Buddha discovered certain pollutions in the mind, and when you uproot those pollutions out of the mind using the tools and techniques that he taught, the mind will perform optimally. And in the present moment, you'll be experiencing complete peace and complete joy, and you'll be creating and having fulfilled the ideal life. You'll be living your ideal life, the way that you are interested in living your life, and you'll have nothing but complete peace and joy, harmony in all of your relationships. Right now, you might have difficulties and struggles in some of your relationships, but those difficulties and struggles are coming from your own mind. Oftentimes, the mind thinks that other people are causing you to experience difficulties and struggles. You might think it's other people who are causing you to be angry or frustrated or sad or some other discontent feeling, but it's actually your own mind that's causing these things. That's why you can actually transform it. That's why you can fix it. If it was other people who was causing you to experience a certain thing, or a certain feeling, you would never be able to fix it because you can't change other people and what other people are choosing to do. So the Buddha brings your attention to understanding that it's your own mind that's causing the anger and the sadness and the frustration and all these other discontent feelings. And he does this through sharing the teachings in a way that you can independently verify them. Because as I shared with you, his teachings aren't based in belief. With belief, you don't know what's true or false. You're just believing it because somebody convinced you to believe it or you convinced yourself to believe it. But in order to get to enlightenment, you need to be able to see the truth for yourself. That's what it means to awaken to enlightenment. You're cultivating wisdom, and now with that wisdom, you're going to navigate the world more peacefully. That when you are in the unenlightened state, there's certain lack of wisdom that the mind has about the world around you. And now when you go through the world making unwise decisions, you will experience unwholesome results. And part of those unwholesome results is the anger and the sadness and the stress and the anxiety and these other feelings like this. This is just an indication to you that your mind is not yet awake. There's a certain lack of wisdom. Essentially, what the unenlightened mind is doing is it's living in a world that it doesn't understand. So it struggles and it has difficulties. That's what the anger and the resentment, the hostility, the bitterness, and all these things are. And as I mentioned, by the time you get to enlightenment, your personal and professional relationships will be really blossoming. They'll be at ease because you're not going to be bitter and harsh and hostile any longer. But right now, you'll probably find that to be a challenge because the mind has these pollutions that the Buddha discovered. But when you train your mind and you uproot these pollutions out of the mind, you can get to a point where you're completely peaceful and joyful, and you can function in all your relationships with ease and with harmony. So the training that the Buddha is teaching you is to first understand what's causing these feelings. In order to eliminate anger and sadness and all these other feelings, you need to know what's causing them. What's causing them is something called craving, desire, attachment, longing, yearning, wanting, and expecting things to be a certain way. When you get what you want, You get happy or excited or elated. You get some pleasant feeling. But when you don't get what you want or what you expect, then your mind experiences painful feelings like anger, sadness, frustration, and others. So this is what's called craving, desire, attachment. The mind is craving permanence, wanting things to be a certain way permanently. But the thing is that you live in an impermanent world. Everything around you is constantly changing, but your mind craves permanence. So for example, if you can think about a boyfriend or girlfriend that you were together with, when you guys first got together, you were probably very happy, very excited, because you were getting what you wanted, which is this new person in your life who's showing you affection. You guys might have been having great conversations. You might have been going to the movies, to dinner. You might have been going to the park, taking great walks, having wonderful conversations. You might have even been having sexual contact. Well, at the beginning of the relationship, you didn't want anything from this person. You were just interested to get to know them. So it was quite pleasant for you because you didn't have any expectations. You didn't have any wants. So everything was wonderful and everything was joyful. But over time, as you guys spent time together, your expectations grew. You started wanting more and more things from this person. And they couldn't fulfill those permanently because you live in an impermanent world. And they probably had certain expectations of you and certain things they wanted from you. And you couldn't fulfill that for them permanently. And now you guys might have got angry or frustrated with each other and you broke up. Now you might have even been more angry and more frustrated. You might have been lonely or bored, or you might have been missing this person. What this was your mind holding on and craving permanence. Your mind wanted this person to be permanent in your life when in reality they are impermanent. Even if you guys were together for the rest of your life, more likely than not, one of you would have died first. And then when the other person died, your mind holding on and craving permanence, you would have struggled and had difficulties during that period of time. It's not your love or your care that's causing the painful feelings. Love doesn't cause pain. Love is a genuine interest in seeing all beings be well, and that doesn't cause pain. So for example, if you've had someone close to you that has died, like grandma or grandpa or mom or dad or brothers or sisters or some friend or family member, that sorrow and grief that you experienced, it wasn't because you loved the person, it's because your mind was craving for them to be permanent. As long as they were alive, you were happy, but then when your mind wasn't getting what it wanted and what it expected, which is grandma or grandpa to live in the world, now the mind's not getting what it wants, so now it's angry or frustrated or lonely or bored or sorrowful or grieving. You can also see this like if you've had a brand new car or something like this, and now you're so happy with that brand new car, and now you maybe drive it to the store, you park it, and you come outside and you see a scratch on your car. If you're angry or frustrated at that point, it's not the scratch that's causing that, and it's not the person who scratched your car. It's the mind craving permanence and wanting this car to be permanently beautiful, when in reality, this car is impermanent. Everything around you is temporary. It's constantly changing. But if your mind craves permanence, which every unenlightened mind does, now you're going to experience anger and sadness and frustration when it's not getting what it wants. As long as the car looks beautiful, you're happy. But then when it's not beautiful anymore, you're frustrated or angry or irritated. And the thing is that this car is going to change. The paint's going to fade. The tires are going to need to be changed. The upholstery is going to get ripped and torn. These are all things that are going to happen. So as long as your mind's craving for this car to look a certain way permanently, you'll be frustrated or agitated or annoyed when you're not getting what you want. You can see this because I know all of you guys travel probably. You can see this in travel. If you went to the airport really excited to come to Thailand, and you're really excited to come to Thailand, you just can't wait to get on the airplane to come to Thailand. It's going to be so fun. And then you show up to the airport and your flight's delayed or it's canceled. You'll be frustrated, you'll be agitated or annoyed. It's not the airline company that's causing that. It's the mind craving permanence. The mind wants every airplane to take off at the same time or the time that it's scheduled, right? Your airplanes, of course, right? If the plane takes off on time, you're happy, you're excited. But if it doesn't, you're angry or frustrated. But the thing is that every airplane can't take off at the scheduled time. There's going to be weather issues, crew issues, maintenance issues. And as long as your mind is craving permanence, then when you show up and you see that this plane is delayed or canceled, you'll be frustrated, agitated, or annoyed. This is the mind causing its own anger and frustration. You can see this like if you really get excited when it's sunny outside, well, then when it rains, you'll be frustrated and agitated. The only thing that's happened is change. That's it. It's just change. It can't be sunny permanently, but your mind is, if it's craving permanent sun, when you see the rain or any other weather event, you'll be frustrated or agitated. Or if you get really excited when your bank account balance is up here, when it goes down here, you'll be frustrated. You'll be agitated or annoyed. You can see all that's happened was change. There wasn't any other person involved, because what the unenlightened mind will do is it will firmly believe that other people are causing you to be angry or frustrated. That's what the mind firmly believes, because it lacks wisdom in the unenlightened state. You'll think mom and dad are angering you or frustrating you. Your brothers and sisters are annoying you. Your boss is doing something that you think is maybe causing you to be frustrated or agitated or annoyed. But it's actually your own mind craving and longing, yearning for things to be a certain way. And when you think that something else, something external is causing your anger and sadness, those painful feelings, what you will tend to do with your lack of wisdom is push people away, or you'll push the situation away. You might have noticed this about your life, that there's certain people in your life that you've pushed away, certain friends or family members or people like this. This is the mind thinking that this person is causing your discontent feelings, and the mind thinks the way to solve it is to push this person out of the way. This is called aversion, but you can see that that didn't solve your problem, because if that was the real cause of the problem, when you push that person out of your life, you'd be peaceful. You'd be joyful for the rest of your life. But you see, that's not true, because you still get annoyed. You still get frustrated. Or the second thing you'll do when you don't understand what the true cause of the problem is you will be bitter and harsh and hostile towards people through your intentions, your speech, and your actions. It's almost like an animal growling and roaring at another animal. It's like, do things my way. You might do this with your life partner, your children, or your parents, or your brothers or sisters, where you're being bitter and harsh and hostile to them, trying to almost fear them into doing things your way. Or the third thing you'll do is you might put your expectations on people and try to control people and pressure them and force them to do things your way. And you might even have people doing this to you too, right? Pushing you away, being bitter, harsh, and hostile to you, and trying to put expectations on you and trying to control you and force you to do things their way. But this doesn't lead to happiness. It doesn't lead to harmonious relationships, because you can't convince everyone in the world to do things your way. So as long as the mind doesn't understand what's truly causing these feelings, you'll continue to push people away, be bitter, harsh, and hostile, put your expectations on people. And now you can't live harmoniously in all your relationships. So the Buddha guides you in understanding what is actually causing these feelings, and then he provides you the techniques of how to eliminate them. But as you heard me share, you can't believe these teachings. You shouldn't believe anything that I share with you, anything that I write in books or anything like that. You need to independently verify what's being shared with you is true. So maybe take a minute right now to think about what I just said, that it's your own mind that's causing these feelings, that it's craving, it's longing, it's yearning, it's wanting things to be a certain way. And if you get what you want, you get happy, you get pleasant feelings. But if you don't get what you want, you get painful feelings. Take a recent situation where you've gotten angry or frustrated or sad or some other discontent feeling. At that time, you might have been trying to blame other people for what you were experiencing, because that's a common thing that the mind does. But now look at it with these fresh eyes. What was it that your mind wanted? What were you expecting? What were you longing, yearning for? And if you would have got it, you would have been happy. But because you didn't get what you wanted, you got angry or frustrated or sad. You should be able to see it yourself. And if you can't, when we get to questions, let me know. I will help you. I've had plenty of students over the years ask questions about certain situations that they've had, and I can help you to be able to see it. Here's an example. A student one time called me up and they contacted me. They said, "Hey, David, I went to work the other day. My house looked beautiful. When I came home, my wife had this craft project all over the house. She messed up the house, and I got angry when I walked in. I got frustrated. How did my mind cause this? I wasn't even there. My wife's the one who messed up the house. Didn't she cause me to be angry or frustrated?" And I said, "No, she didn't. It was your own mind that caused this. You had the expectation that your house was going to look exactly the same when you came home. And the only thing that happened was change. It's just impermanence, that things changed. The entire world around you is constantly changing. And if you crave permanence and you want that house and expect that house to look a certain way, when you come home and it doesn't look that way, you'll cause your mind to be angry or frustrated or annoyed. So you need maybe some help to be able to see this, but perhaps you can see it for yourself. I know a lot of you guys are staying in hotels, perhaps. If you have a longing and a yearning for the housekeeping of your hotel to make your bed, right? And you come back to your hotel room and they haven't made your bed, you'll be frustrated. You'll be agitated or annoyed. And while the housekeepers aspire to make your bed every day, you don't know. Something might come up, right? Maybe someone's child is sick and they have to go take care of their child. Or maybe they just forget to go into your room. Maybe they thought they had done it and they didn't actually do it. Whereas if you get bitter and harsh and hostile with people, you're not actually solving the problem. So perhaps you go down to the front desk and you politely, kindly ask them if there's someone who can take care of this for you. While being bitter and harsh and hostile doesn't actually solve the problem. It's just causing your own mind to have difficulties and struggles. So when you learn the teachings of the Buddha, he's going to help you to be able to see how to train your mind to get to peace and joy, where you're not holding on to things, craving for things to be permanent, and you can see the world around you is constantly changing. So this meditation that we just did, when you're focused on the breath and the mind moves off the breath, this is developing the wholesome qualities of mindfulness or awareness of mind and concentration, that you can see that your mind moved off the breath. You can see it moved. And when you bring it back to the breath, you can focus on the breath and develop concentration. These are two wholesome qualities that you need. When your mind moves off the breath and you let go, this is training your mind to let go. Because that's what the mind doesn't know how to do in the unenlightened state. It craves permanence. It's holding on. So that boyfriend or girlfriend that you guys broke up, you were holding on to them. And your mind was angry and frustrated and agitated or annoyed. But at some point, your mind let go. You were like, you know what? If he wants to be with someone else, so be it. And your mind let go. And that's where your peace came back. Your joy came back. Or you were like, you know what? If she wants to move to another part of the world, so be it. And you let go. And then your mind regained its peace and its joy. But your mind doesn't know how to let go in the unenlightened state. So that's what the breathing mindfulness meditation is for, is to train your mind to let go. So that now in day-to-day life with your mindfulness and you're going around the world and you're noticing the anger rising up, you'll notice that with your mindfulness. You can see it coming up in your mind. And then you can train your mind to let it go. Don't allow the mind to hold on, because if you keep holding on, you're going to keep being angry. So if it was 2 weeks or 2 months or 2 years that you were holding on to that boyfriend or girlfriend, you were frustrated and agitated that whole time. But at some point, your mind let go. And that's where you regained your peace and your joy. So you need to be able to train your mind how to let go, so it's not holding on permanently, expecting and longing, yearning for things to be permanent. So this breathing mindfulness meditation is something you do consistently over the course of your life, where you're consistently training your mind. Just like someone might take their body to the gym and they might exercise their body and make it stronger. That's what meditation is doing. It's like exercising your mind, helping it to become stronger. And just like you learned growing up to care for this body and clean it and take a shower and clean up this body, you need to be able to clean your mind. There's two aspects to this being. There's the physical body, but there's the mind as well. And pretty much all of us learned how to clean our body growing up. And that's what we do each day. We realize that it's wise to clean this body. And if you went a day or 2 or 3 or a week or 2 or 3 or a month or a year without cleaning this body, you'd be very uncomfortable. Well, if you've been going through your life not training your mind, that's the reason why you experience uncomfortableness in your mind. That's why you experience stress and anxiety, because you're not cleaning your mind. So most of us probably didn't grow up with parents that understood how to clean the mind. They understood how to clean the body, and they taught us that. but they didn't necessarily teach us how to clean our mind. And now you're in a place here in Thailand that understands how to clean the mind. And if you would like to learn how to do that, whether you're here in Thailand or as you travel, you can learn how to clean up the mind because you already know how to clean the body. You don't need to know how to do that. But just like if you didn't clean that body for several years, you would be uncomfortable. It's the same thing with the mind. So the teachings of the Buddha are teaching you how to purify your mind, how to clean up the mind and get to the point where the mind's completely peaceful and completely joyful. And there's opportunities for you to learn this at no cost. What I do here is I share books and audiobooks, podcasts, videos, classes, courses, retreats, even personal guidance in a way that you can get access to it at no cost. And whether you're here in Chiang Mai or you're traveling around the world, I've set up in such a way that you can learn from anywhere that you like, because the classes and courses and retreats are all live streamed and you can come in live, or you can watch the recordings if you can't come in live. So if you'd like to get access to these books, I suggest you go to our website, which is buddhadailywisdom.com. If you click on free books, you can download all the books for free. We have a 13-book series, and most people start with this first book. This is the place to start, Developing a Life Practice, The Path That Leads to Enlightenment. You can download it for free. You can take it and go print it. You can get printed versions here by just reimbursing us for the printing cost so that we can go purchase more books. Or if you have access to Amazon in your country, you can get it on Amazon. And then slowly but surely, through our various programs, courses, and retreats, which again are available at no cost, you can gradually learn the path, because it's more than just meditation that you need. I just introduced you to a bit of the meditation and a little bit of the teachings of the Buddha, but there's a whole host of teachings that you need besides just meditation. Because not only does breathing mindfulness meditation train your mind to let go, but things like generosity train your mind to let go too, where you're giving and sharing more than is strictly required in any given situation, such as your time, your effort, your energy, and your resources, without any expectation of anything in return. Because when you have craving, desire, attachment, wants, and expectations in your mind, the mind will tend to be somewhat selfish. You'll tend to hold on to things. It's like my money, my clothes, my friends, my car, my phone. You'll tend to hold on to things very tight. But when you give and share with other people, it's like living open-handedly, and you find joy in sharing with other people. Because in the unenlightened state, it's kind of like, if I'm going to spend 3 hours doing this, I want this in return. Or if I'm going to spend 3 days doing this, I want this in return. Where when you're practicing generosity without any expectation of anything in return, you don't want anything or expect anything. You're just sharing with other people out of the generosity and out of the kindness of your heart, and just having an interest in seeing other people be well. Understanding that you can do work and you can acquire certain things in your life, and then you can share it with other people. As human beings, we can do that. As animals don't typically share, right? They tend to hoard things like their food and things like this. But we're not animals. We're human beings. And you can become a better and better human being. That's what the path to enlightenment is to evolve to becoming a better and better human being. And cultivate your mind, purify your mind of these pollutions that the Buddha discovered, and getting to a point where you experience nothing but peace and joy. So I'm going to stop here and just see if you guys have questions, anything you guys would like to ask. You're more than welcome to ask, whether it's about the teachings of the Buddha, anything that I talked about, whether it's something you've seen in the world about the teachings of the Buddha, because there's many misunderstandings out there in the world. If people aren't studying with his original teachings, you might have been exposed to things that aren't actually his teachings. Or maybe you're having a personal challenge that you would like help with. Again, you guys can use the microphones here, and then everyone online, you can put your questions into Facebook, YouTube, or Zoom if you'd like to ask questions. So is there anything that you guys would like to ask? Anybody have a question you guys would like to ask? Have a question? Yes.
Is that okay?
Yep, sure is.
Yes. I have a question regarding to meditation.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I usually do some meditation back at home. And usually the first part is concentrating on breath. And the last part would be just let go.
Mm-hmm.
So I found it's quite challenging to let go after I spend time concentrating on my breath.
Mm-hmm.
So do you have any advice on that?
Yeah, this is going to be challenging because the mind doesn't want to let go. It's kind of like if you were going to practice, exercising, when you first start lifting weights, it's very challenging for the body because it really doesn't want to exercise. It wants to just be lazy and sit in the corner. So your mind is kind of like the same way. It just wants to, be unenlightened. It wants to just sit there and be lazy and lethargic, where what you're trying to do is you're trying to lift it up and become invigorated and motivated and encouraged and have ambition. And it's going to be challenging to train your mind to let go. So you're going to just need to be consistent with your meditation. What you'll notice is that frequency is more important than the amount or duration of meditation. So if it was like one meditation for 30 minutes per day or 2 for 15, you're going to get much more benefit out of the 2 for 15. And then you'd gradually like to expand that to about 30 minutes. That's really all you need, is about 30 minutes of meditation. You don't need to meditate for 10 hours or 12 hours a day. This isn't something that you really need. So 2 or 3 sessions per day for about 30 minutes is what you'd like to build up to. And understand that it can take you 6 months, a year, even 2 years to build up to this. And consistently, as you're training your mind this way, more and more your mind will let go. It'll be easier. What you would like to be able to do is slow your breath down, where sometimes people have a very shallow breath. When I provide you the guidance, I say develop a nice, natural, steady, consistent breath. That's what I shared. But that doesn't mean you just breathe the way that you currently breathe. Because if you breathe very shallow, your mind might be very rapid. Because if your breath is shallow, if it's like, and your mind is fixated to that, your mind is going to be overactive, because that's what craving, desire, attachment is. The mind's wanting to go, 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 go. You might have noticed that on your holiday here, that you're like, go, 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 right? Or you'd like to slow things down, and you'll actually be more successful in life that way, because you can make really wise decisions. So you'd like your breath to be nice and slow, like really slow. And now you fixate your mind to the breath, and now you'll be able to have a better opportunity to train your mind to let go. So this is some kind of basics and suggestions, but just understand it is challenging for the mind. You'll probably notice challenges for the first few years, but it'll get better slowly but surely. Because the way enlightenment works is it's not like one moment you're enlightened and the next moment you're enlightened, one moment you're unenlightened, the next moment you're enlightened. It's gradual. So you'll notice improvements. I've had some students say as early as 2 days, they can see improvement to the condition of their mind. And then as you go, you'll see increased levels of improvement to the condition of your mind as you're progressing. So if you're noticing that it's a challenge for you, that means it's actually good for your mind, because your mind is challenged in that situation. By the time you get to enlightenment, there's no challenge. Your life is at ease. It's completely peaceful and joyful. But on your way to enlightenment, you're going to meet with various challenges. Meditation is just one of those. And what you would like to do is face that challenge, walk towards that challenge. The Buddha teaches you to not shrink back from the struggle, because there's a certain struggle on your way to enlightenment. And if you shrink back from it, then you're just ensuring that that struggle continues, because you never meet the challenge and you never overcome it. Where what I teach you and the Buddha teaches is to turn around and walk towards the struggle and keep walking towards it, because then you can cultivate wisdom and you can overcome the struggle, and you'll notice that your mind will improve more and more and more. So these challenges are actually really good for your mind. And in fact, when you stop experiencing challenges in meditation, then there are certain situations where you would actually like to put your mind into challenging situations to challenge it. So if you ever get to a point where you're meditating and it's no longer a challenge for you for like 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, that's the time to actually do some other things that are actually challenge your mind a bit more.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Any other questions you guys would like to ask?
Hello. I would like to say, is that okay? Okay. I think I benefit a lot from your teaching, especially my discontentment feelings are coming from myself, not the outside world. And people around me are not permanent. All the things are not permanent, so we should try to let go the discontent feeling. Okay, I'd like to say thank you.
Yes, you're welcome.
Okay.
Yes, back there. We have some microphones up here. If you'd like to come up and get some, you're more than welcome to. I can't really hear you too well, and the people online won't be able to hear you either. So it's really nice if you use a mic. And you can take it back with you too if you like.
Okay. If I know that I'm going to go to a place where someone is going to, does my mind handle that? Like I have to be in a place where they're going to be mean and angry and cruel, and I can't escape that.
Why do you have to be there?
Family or friend, a nice person, but they're affiliated with, in a sense, or...
So there's only one thing you have to do in life. Do you know what that is? Die. That's it. Everything else is optional. So if there's people that are bitter and harsh and hostile, you can choose to not associate with those individuals. That's not going to solve your discontentedness. Like if you're discontent in those situations, it's not going to solve your discontentedness, because that's, if somebody were to just push away everyone who is bitter and harsh and hostile to you and choose to walk away from them, you're still angry, you're still frustrated. You need to eliminate your craving, desire, attachment, and wanting this person to be a certain way. Because that's what the mind's doing. The mind craves everyone to be polite, kind, friendly, respectful. And when someone's polite, kind, friendly, respectful, you feel great. You feel happy. Wow, this is wonderful. But then the mind doesn't understand impermanence. Some people are going to be impolite, unkind, unfriendly, and disrespectful. And while it's unwise that they're doing that, you don't have to allow it to affect your mind. So you would like to get to the point where you don't have a craving for everybody to function a certain way. That's what the mind's craving, the permanence. Now, it's wonderful if everyone would be polite, kind, friendly, respectful, but that's not the world you live in. You got to be able to acknowledge that and see that the world around you is impermanent. And leaving a relationship where someone is being bitter, harsh, and hostile can still be a wise decision. But if you're choosing to leave out of a relationship where someone's bitter and harsh and hostile, you need to maintain the understanding that if you have painful feelings, it's not being caused by this person. And it's not going to be fixed by choosing to leave the relationship. So you still might choose to leave the relationship. You can do that, but just maintain your right view to understand that it's your own mind that's causing these painful feelings. And you need to get to a point where you eliminate your craving and longing and yearning, your wanting and expecting for this person to be a certain way. You would like to get to the point where you can love people as they are. This is unconditional love, where you don't want them to be a certain way. You don't expect them to be a certain way. You understand that each person is a work in progress, and maybe you choose to be polite, kind, friendly, respectful in most situations, but other people aren't going to necessarily do that. And I suspect you're probably impolite, unkind, unfriendly, and disrespectful in certain situations too.
If I see cruelty.
So you just need to be able to understand that as long as you put out hostility and bitterness, this is also going to come back to you. So you're going to need to transform your mind to be polite, kind, friendly, respectful in all situations. And then in situations where people are hostile and bitter, you can choose to walk away from that and then just train your mind to not have an expectation that they'll be a certain way. And then that way your mind can stay with peace and joy. Yeah, you're welcome. Any other questions? Yeah, Gala?
Yes. I don't know exactly how to formulate this, but we'll try. I recently started learning about Carl Jung, that deeply encourages to learn the unconscious part of your mind, to be able to accept yourself fully. Would you think there is any benefit in deeply understanding yourself before letting go?
So by the time you train your mind through the teachings of the Buddha, you will no longer have a subconscious mind. The conscious mind is what you're aware of. The subconscious mind, you're not aware of the subconscious mind. Both of these are polluted. The subconscious mind is typically more polluted than the conscious mind. This is where, like, if you're standing around somewhere and you just kind of blurt something out and you're like, whoa, I don't think that way. Why did I say that? That was really strange. That was really weird, right? That's your subconscious mind throwing things up into your conscious mind, and you weren't aware of it, and you just kind of blurted it out, right? So by the time you get to what's called the second jhana, which is, there's 4 jhanas, there's 4 preliminary phases that your mind goes through before you get to the first stage of enlightenment. And then there's 4 stages of enlightenment. When you get into the second jhana, where you're experiencing enhanced qualities of mind throughout those jhanas, you'll have what's called oneness of mind, or unification of the mind, where you can see the entire mind. Because you need this in order to be able to completely purify it. You would never be able to get to enlightenment if you couldn't see the subconscious mind, right? So by the time you get to the second jhana, you have unification of the mind, or oneness of mind, where you can see the entire mind, and you'll be able to see all these different pollution in your mind. So now, as you have that awareness or that mindfulness of your entire mind, you'll be able to see the different unwholesome qualities, but you'll also be able to see the wholesome qualities that you have in your mind too. You shouldn't associate those as who you are as a person, because the Buddha teaches you that there is no self. Your mind's going to want to cling onto a self. You might cling to the self-image or the self-identity or certain choices and decisions that you make. You might think that this is who you are as a person. But as long as your mind is doing that, clinging to a self-image or a self-identity, you're not going to be able to get to complete peace or joy. And I know you've heard me share this before, but I'll share it with other people. And you too, you can ask questions. That if you cling to the idea like, I am American, or I am Spanish, or I am Chinese, any of this I am around your identity, for example. Well, if somebody says something very fond about your identity, they're like, oh, Chinese people are loving and kind and warm and gentle, or all Americans are lovely and kind and warm and gentle. You'd be like, wow, they're talking about me, right? But now maybe you're at a restaurant and 2 tables over, you overhear a conversation where someone's being degrading or disparaging about where you come from. So if your mind clings to an identity of who you think you are, now when you hear that, you'll be angry and frustrated. So you can't get to peace and joy if you cling to an idea or a perception of who you think you are. So there's no need to figure out who you are, because none of that is you. Your mind might cling to certain culture, certain ethnicity, certain sexual orientation, a job or occupation, a nationality, certain decisions you make, and you might cling to these things as who you think you are. But none of that stuff is you, and all of it's going to change. So if you cling to any of it as who you think you are, when it changes, you'll be lost and confused. So for example, if I cling to the idea like I am a police officer, well, as long as I'm doing that job, I feel great. But when I'm not doing that job anymore, now I feel like less of a person. I feel like I'm not whole. Or if I think like I am a boyfriend, I am a girlfriend, or I am a husband, or I'm a wife, as long as you're in a relationship, you'll feel great. But when you're single, you'll feel diminished. You'll feel like less of a person. So you need to get to the point where you don't hold on to any of these things as who you think you are, because they're constantly changing. You need to get to the point where you realize non-self. So investigating who you are as a person, the true self, there is no true self. It doesn't actually exist. That's the confusion and the misunderstanding that the mind has, thinking that there is a self. And as long as the mind keeps doing that, you're going to end up in discontentedness, because it's going to cling to something, thinking that that's who you are, and then that's going to change. And then your mind's going to be lost and confused. So there's a lot of new age techniques out there that people are trying to use in order to think that it's somehow guiding them in life and making things better. But when you understand the true path that the Buddha taught, the actual path to enlightenment, you can see a lot of these new age things are just a misunderstanding, and it's actually leading you in a direction opposite of enlightenment. And it's really confusing things for people.
And how can I learn more about the second jhana?
The Buddha teaches it in his teachings. You can see it in his actual words. And I teach classes on this too, where there's classes where I'll teach for like an hour and a half, just explaining what the jhanas are and what each individual one is. I've recorded it many times. It's on our YouTube channel. You can see it on our book series where the jhanas are being described. we can talk personally if you would like to know more about the jhanas. But I would say, start with the resources that I've already shared, and then you'll have more understanding, so that then when we talk personally, you'll be able to ask more questions, get more understanding about it. And I think in the August retreat that's coming up in August, I'm going to be teaching a class on the jhanas in there as well.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I have a question which is not related to meditation, but this is a very significant issue in my life, so I would like to bring it out today. The issue is that I have a very strong sense of insecurity, and I have been searching help from my therapist and friends and family for a long time, and I'm still trying to deal with my insecurity. I'm too insecure that I am afraid of being alone at nights, and I'm afraid of losing things and relationships, and I'm afraid of getting attacked by strangers. So I'm always insecure, and I would like to know whether there are some suggestions from you.
Yeah, so this is also craving for permanence, right? Like you don't feel comfortable being alone because you crave being with other people, and you want that to be permanent. You're craving, there was a couple other things in there, getting attacked by strangers. What was the other one?
Being alone at nights.
Being alone at night.
Losing things and losing relationships.
Losing relationships, yeah. So the mind's holding on to a relationship, thinking that this relationship is permanent, when in reality it's impermanent. So you need to start at the very beginning of the teachings of the Buddha, because all of that is all things that the teachings of the Buddha will transform for you. But you need to start at the beginning. The Buddha's teachings aren't like plug and play. You can't learn just like one little teaching and this is going to magically eliminate insecurity. I know that you're not asking for that, but sometimes people think that way, that there's just like one teaching that's going to magically eliminate this one particular aspect of their life. But the underlying cause that's causing insecurity, that's causing stress, anxiety, guilt, shame, fear, stress, all of these things, they're the same underlying cause. It's craving, desire, attachment. So when you work with the core path of the Buddha, which is what I'm going to be sharing on Sunday, this path right here, this is what you need to learn. You need to be able to understand what each individual factor is, and you need to understand how to implement it in your day-to-day life. And this is going to slowly transform the mind where you don't experience those things any longer. It's a comprehensive package. It takes me about 2.5 hours to teach this entire path, and I taught part of it this past Sunday, and then I'm going to teach the other part this Sunday coming up. And I teach it in all the various courses and retreats that I share as well. So like next week, for those of you guys that are going to be around, Monday through Friday from 9 to 3 p.m., I'm going to be teaching a Foundation in the Path to Enlightenment course here. And I'm going to be live streaming it, and people can come in, and I've taught it many times. It's been recorded. So you're going to need to learn this core central path of the Buddha, whether it's through the books that I share, the classes, courses, retreats, the audiobooks, the courses and things like this. You're going to need to understand this and implement it in your life. And that's what's going to slowly train your mind to eliminate the craving for permanence. That's what's going on in your situation. It's the same cause that everybody else is having. So whether it's insecurity, whether it's fear, whether it's guilt, whether it's stress, whether it's anxiety, it's all the same stuff, that the mind is experiencing craving for permanence. And you just need to be able to implement this to be able to then gradually train your mind and transform it.
I would definitely love to come, but I'm leaving on Friday, so I may be missing this.
Yeah. So you can just watch the recordings online. I've taught it many, many times. I teach this same topic probably 2, 3, 4, 5 times a month because it's so important for students. So you can go to our website. You can get to our YouTube channel. You'll find the resources. If you're truly interested in transforming your life and getting rid of this insecurity, the teachings of the Buddha will do that for you. But you need to dedicate your time and effort and energy towards actually learning it and then implementing it into your day-to-day life. So I've set up in such a way that you don't have to be here in order to be able to learn this path. You can even get personal guidance by, once you've watched the videos online or you've attended the live streams, you can get help from me in 4 different ways. You can ask questions in live classes. you can post in our Facebook group and I will be able to answer you there. Nobody else answers you, just me. You can send me private messages through like WhatsApp or WeChat or email or Facebook or anything like that. Or you can schedule personal guidance and we'll meet together either in person or online. And then I will help you to understand what it is that you've been learning with all the resources and how to apply it to your day-to-day life. So there's help for you. You just need to decide to step forward and actually start learning through those resources and then asking for help.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're welcome.
At first, I want to say thank you for your teaching. We are from China. And I and my friend do meditation for several years. And I think I don't see too much change. I can't see a very big progress. When I do meditation, sometimes I feel lost or frustrated. I can't see a straight A or 5-star. I don't know what's next, because I still do stupid thing. I still feel frustrated, unhappy when I meet something bad. So I don't know how to achieve the state of enlightenment.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
There's a few things to talk about here. You say that when you're meditating, you've been meditating for multiple years and you don't see too much improvement yet, right? Okay. What are you doing for meditation? What type of technique are you using?
Breathing meditation, walking meditation.
So when you're in meditation,
very simple meditation, yeah.
So when you're in meditation, what are you doing with your mind? When you have a thought, what do you do in that situation?
I have a little bit ADHD syndrome, so I am easily to lost concentration.
Okay, so when you have a thought, what do you do during meditation?
Try to
bring it back to the breath?
Yeah.
Okay, so this is what you would like to do. The ADHD, while people label this as like a medical disorder, it's not actually not. All that is that your mind is lacking concentration. You're lacking focus. Your mind hasn't been trained yet to be able to have focus and concentration. You can overcome all of those symptoms that people are calling ADHD. You can get to the point where your mind's completely focused and concentrated. There's nothing biological that's going to hinder you from being able to do that. So you would like to focus on the breath, and whenever the mind moves off the breath, cut that off and let it go. Understanding that your goal in meditation isn't to eliminate your thoughts. As long as you're alive, you're going to have thoughts. Even enlightened beings, while they're meditating, they have thoughts. The difference is that in the unenlightened state, you'll have a bombardment of thoughts, lots of thoughts, or you'll have a thought, you'll follow it for a period of time, you'll indulge in that thought, and then like 2 or 3 minutes down the road, you're like, oh yeah, I'm meditating, that's right. Let me bring my mind back to the breath. So that's what an unenlightened being will experience. An enlightened being, when they're meditating, they still have a thought, but they notice it right away and they cut it off and let it go right away. And then they might have 30 seconds or a minute of stillness of mind or quietness of mind where there isn't any thoughts. But then eventually they're going to have a thought again, right? This is what an enlightened being will experience. So there's meditation that you need, and you need to focus on the breath. Anytime the mind moves off the breath, you cut that off and let it go and bring the mind back to the breath. But if all you know right now is that, and that's all you're doing, it won't lead to enlightenment. You need all these other factors. Meditation is only one part of this. So in this factor right here, right concentration, there's actually 2 aspects to right concentration. And one of them is meditation. And there's another part of it too. But if you're not implementing every single factor here, you're not going to be able to train your mind and see the significant improvement. If you do the math here, each one of these factors are about 12.5% of the path to enlightenment. So, and then behind each one of these factors, there's other aspects. So meditation, if you do the math, is about 6.25% of enlightenment, in the path to enlightenment. So if all you're doing is meditating, you're only implementing 6.25% of the teachings of the Buddha. So that's why you're not experiencing the significant progress that you'd like to experience. You need to be able to understand more of this path and implement it, because your training isn't just in meditation. It's outside of meditation too. Your meditation is just exercising the mind and giving you the qualities that you need in day-to-day life to be able to actively train your mind. So for example, if somebody was meditating, even though they can't do this, let's just say somebody was meditating for 23 hours a day, but they went out into the world and they were bitter, harsh, and hostile and aggressive in their interactions with people, they're not anywhere close to enlightenment. It doesn't matter how much you're meditating. If you don't understand things like right intention, right speech, right action, and you're not able to implement those in your day-to-day life, your mind's not actually receiving the full training that it needs to be able to move to enlightenment. So same thing as I shared with the young lady in front of you, you're going to need to learn this. This is for everybody. You're all going to need to learn this if you're interested in getting to peace and joy and eliminating those discontent feelings. You're going to need to essentially memorize this teaching. There are specific words from the Buddha behind each one of these. So this is like the first step. This is the second step, right intention, right? Then there's right speech, right? There's like words behind here. And what he's teaching you is how to eliminate your craving, desire, attachment. So for example, with speech, when an individual is lying, when they have slander, when they have harsh speech or frivolous speech, there's a certain craving, there's a certain longing, yearning. For example, the reason why the mind lies is that it wants something. And it feels like if it tells the truth, it's not going to get what it wants. So you need to be able to learn how to speak the truth and that you're honest in all situations. This is going to help reduce your craving, desire, attachment, where the mind's not pulling towards something. Or say slander. Slander is like a gossip, where you're trying to diminish somebody else's reputation in order to make yourself look better. You might have a certain craving, a longing, yearning to look a certain way to other people. And now the mind thinks, if I diminish this person, I make this person look bad, now I'm going to look better. This is coming from craving, desire, attachment. It's kind of like going into a dark room and everybody has a candle, and the mind thinks, if I put out everyone else's candle, my candle will shine brighter. Well, no, that's silly, because we need all these candles to be shining because we're in a dark room. We don't need to put out other people's candle. So there's an underlying craving, desire, attachment here with the slander. And then with harsh speech, when you're bitter and you're harsh and you're hostile with the people around you, this is from your craving. This is your expectation. You're wanting this person to do something a certain way. And when they do it that way, you're happy. But when they don't do it your way, you get angry, and you might feel like your harsh speech is going to fear them into doing things your way. And that's coming from your craving, your desire, your attachment. And then there's frivolous speech, which is like just yada, 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 yada. It's like just talking and talking and talking. There's no point. There's no purpose. There's no beneficial aspect to your speech. It's not even like a conversation. It's just broadcasting. If you've ever been around someone like this, or if you've been this person, it's like, oh my goodness, when are they going to be quiet? Oh my gosh, they're talking so much, right? It's not really a conversation. It's like broadcast. There's an underlying craving there. There's a longing, yearning. So this ADHD that you're talking about, where the mind lacks concentration, well, if you have craving in your mind, where your mind's pulling in all these different directions, you'll find it very challenging to be concentrated. But if you can knock that down with the meditation and with all the other aspects of this path, because you're going to need the mental discipline section. There's more here than just moral conduct. This moral conduct is showing you how your mind is going to long and yearn, and you can restrain it and you can pull it back. And the Buddha is helping you to be able to see a wise way to conduct yourself so that you're not causing harm to others. Because anytime you cause harm, harm is going to come back to you. So you're going to need to know this whole eightfold path. And I would suggest you do the same thing. Either come to one of the classes where I'm teaching it, either here at the temple, or come through our live stream, read in our books, watch our videos, whatever it is that you like to learn with. There's resources available to you. And you just need to decide that you would like to learn this so that then you can actually transform your mind. And this will actually work. And I know with 100% certainty that it actually works. So if you would like help with it, I'm here to help you, but you just need to take the initiative to actually get the resources and start learning and growing and developing with it.
Thank you very much.
Mm-hmm.
Is that I'm a pupil in grade 6, and in September, maybe I'm in the middle schools, and in China, we'll study hard in the middle schools, so we didn't have a long time to do our things like the Buddha. So my question is, how long can I put us per days, or how long?
How long you can do what for a day?
To Buddha's medications.
Meditation.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So an individual, when they first get on the path to enlightenment, there's usually a lot of unbeneficial things that a person is doing, right? What we tend to do is fill up our life with a lot of unbeneficial things like scrolling social media. You might play a lot of video games, right? Different things like this that aren't really benefiting your life, but the mind is craving these pleasant feelings, and it really wants this video game, or really wants the social media, or really wants these other things. Maybe someone's using drugs or alcohol or some other things like this, gambling and things of this nature. So an individual needs to kind of clear out a certain portion of their life in order to make space for meditation. So if you're studying in school and you're learning your lessons for your grades in your individual classes, you're going to need to do that to a certain extent. But if you're not training your mind, it's going to make it a lot harder to study in school. Whereas if you're training your mind, you can gain more focus, more concentration, more clarity, and better memory. So then it actually makes your schoolwork easier. So it would be wise for you to set aside some time to actually be training your mind during the day. And then you can also apply your effort to your schoolwork too. As a young child, you're only in 6th grade, your mind isn't as heavily polluted as an adult. Adults, we are having accumulated a lot more pollution during our life. So when we get onto the path to enlightenment later in life, like 30, 40, 50, 60, 80 years old, our mind is more polluted at that point because we've had more experiences and more conditioning of our mind. So if you decide to start training your mind now when you're really young, like this in 6th grade, you won't need as much meditation as someone who's much older than you. So you could probably meditate for probably 5 or 10 minutes and you would just be just fine. And doing that maybe twice a day would really be all you need, but you're going to need the other teachings too. Just like I'm sharing with these young ladies here, you would need to know the Eightfold Path as well. And you can learn this. It's very easy. I have a son who's probably your same age. He's 12 and a half, almost 13 years old. And I started teaching him when he was 6. When he was 6 years old, I started teaching him this. He'll be here in a moment. You can say hi to him if you like. And I talked to him a few months ago because I don't notice he's not angry. He's not frustrated. He's never irritated or annoyed. And I asked him, I said, what's it like for you? Like, how often do you get angry or frustrated? He said, I don't get angry or frustrated anymore. He said he just gets annoyed once every 3 months. Right. And this is at his age. It's very different than my life. I didn't really come into these teachings until much later in life. So it was much harder, much more challenging for me. So for you, if you just spend like maybe twice a day for about 5 or 10 minutes doing a little bit of meditation and you learn all the other teachings, your mind will actually transform relatively quickly. And you'll have a completely different life than you would if you hadn't trained your mind. And it's going to make your schoolwork a lot easier. Mm-hmm. You're welcome.
Practicing meditation for a few years. I'm kind of at a rope right now.
It sounds like your mic's impermanent. Can we get you another mic?
Yeah.
We have 3 more up here.
Okay.
Something might be a little bit more clear so we can hear you. The batteries are impermanent, just like the Buddha said, right?
Okay. How's this?
There we
Better?
go. Perfect.
Okay.
a little roadblock recently. It's really easy for me to let go at work. I work in healthcare, and patients are very, it's like, okay, it's all, I just problem, it's all other people. I'm able to inside myself. I'm very hard on myself. I'm slowing myself down, even though like able to.
Okay, so it's the same thing, that there's certain cravings, desires, attachments that your mind has. There's certain longing, yearning, it's certain expectations and wants. If we talked about specific examples, I'd be able to help you see specifically what is your mind longing, yearning for. And you're going to need to be able to train your mind to not do that. And this path is what's going to do that for you. So oftentimes when people say, I've been meditating, they're not necessarily meditating the way the Buddha taught. That's why I started with this one lady to ask her, how are you meditating? Because sometimes people teach you to look at your thoughts, observe your thoughts, invite your thoughts in, these kinds of things. This isn't actually going to lead to improvement to the condition of the mind, because the mind needs to learn how to let go. And that's what it needs to be able to do. So I'm not sure how you're meditating, but if you focus on the breath, and anytime the mind moves off, you cut that off and let it go and come back. That's what you would like to be doing with breathing mindfulness meditation. But then there's other techniques and other things that you need besides just meditation. You're going to need to be able to, in your work environment, not long and yearn and crave for things to be a certain way. And it's also important to understand that when people around you are angry or frustrated or these kinds of things, you can't actually solve their anger. Even though now you might think that you're the one calming them down, it's actually not. Their mind is letting go. And when their mind lets go, that's when they become calm. So you can't actually calm another person down. It's their mind that needs to choose to let go. So that way you don't take the burden of having to fix somebody else's mind, because you can't do that. They have to choose to let go themselves. But if you learn this path, just like everyone else I've been chatting with, that's what's going to lead to your improvement. And you guys, none of you guys have been studying with me yet. So you're going to need to learn this inside and out, backwards and forwards. And there's plenty of opportunities for you to be able to do that. And this is what's going to create that transformation in your life. Any other questions you guys have? No more questions? No? Oh, we have more? Okay. Yeah. Yeah, I think some of the batteries are gone. I think I need to get some more batteries. We use rechargeable batteries, and apparently somebody just told me recently that they're all dying.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
I have a friend who wants to commit suicide. And I want to help, but I don't know how to help. And I want to know the view about death in Buddhism, and how to get rid of this idea of suicide.
Yeah, usually when somebody's interested in killing themselves, they're not really interested in dying. What it is they're experiencing such painful feelings, and they think the way to get rid of that is to kill themselves, because they don't know how to get out of that. They don't know how to escape out of it. They think that the only way to escape is to kill themselves. So in this situation, they're craving non-existence. They're craving to die. They're longing, yearning to die. In their mind, there's other cravings, desires, attachments too. That's why they're experiencing the painful feelings. That's what they're really truly interested in getting rid of, but they just don't know how. So same thing. They need to learn this path in order to train their mind to eliminate whatever cravings, desires, attachments are causing the painful feelings. So say, for example, they have certain craving for their mom and dad to be a certain way, and they have an expectation for their mom and dad to be a certain way. If they're not that way, they will experience painful feelings. They might have a certain craving for their brothers and sisters to be a certain way, and when they're not that way, they have painful feelings. They might have a certain craving for a certain amount of money, and when they're not getting that amount of money, they feel painful feelings. Any number of things that they could be craving for the world to be a certain way, And when it's not that way, they experience these painful feelings. So this individual needs to decide that they would like to get rid of these painful feelings, and they need to have enough interest to be able to learn and train their mind, understanding that there's an escape for them, that killing themselves isn't going to solve the problem, because killing yourself means that you have a craving. So that means you will experience rebirth. This is something that can be independently verified, that individuals are in a cycle of rebirth. And when you die, having killed oneself, they're going to be reborn. And they're either going to be reborn into the lower realms, or they can also be reborn back into the human realm. But typically, they're going to be reborn into the realm of hell or animal or afflicted spirits, which are the lower realms. And they're just making their problem worse, because now in those lower realms, you can't really train your mind to experience the level of improvement that you can in the human realm. In the human realm, this is an ideal existence for us to be able to make our way to enlightenment. But if somebody doesn't understand the wisdom and the teachings of how to get to enlightenment, when they're experiencing those painful feelings, it'll be a real struggle for them. So if I were you, I would maybe send them a video link to some of the videos that I share, maybe get them a book or send them a link for the book to be able to download it themselves. Or if they'd like, they can schedule appointments with me and I can meet with them personally. We can meet online one-on-one and I'll be able to help them. But they need to decide for themselves that they are interested in the help. You can't actually help them other than to provide them the opportunity to get access to the resources. They have to choose to step forward. You can't force this person to not commit suicide. If they're interested in killing themselves, that's what they'll do. You can't stop them, but you can try to provide them opportunities to be able to reach out and get help for what it is that they're looking to get help for. And that's the painful feelings. Like I said, typically people aren't truly interested in dying. They're interested in getting rid of the painful feelings, but they just don't know how. So if they talk with someone that knows how, then I can actually share with them the teachings of how to improve their mind to be able to escape those painful feelings. And then life can be fulfilling and satisfying. But until they learn how to do that, they're going to keep experiencing those painful feelings over and over and over again.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I want to thank you for the lesson today. I already got a lot of reflections and learnings today. I have two questions. First one is related to meditation. So you mentioned that the frequency of the meditation is more important than the length. So what I experience is when I do meditation, I tend to do around like 45 minutes. The reason I do 45 minutes is I noticed after a certain time, I feel a change in my body. I feel calm. I don't feel any uncomfortableness of the body, and I feel a joy. And I noticed that time is around 40 minutes. So that's the reason I do 45 minutes. So my question is, if I cut it into multiple sessions of shorter time periods, would that be better for me?
You would like to get to 2 or 3 sessions per day, because you're going to notice the frequency is more important than the duration. So if it was a matter of that one meditation for 45 or 2 for 22 minutes, that would actually be better for you, is the 2, because the frequency of training your mind is more important. The calmness that you're experiencing in the body is actually coming from the mind. When the mind is calm, the body will be calm. When the mind is tranquil, the body will be tranquil. So you're not looking to get to necessarily tranquility during meditation. You're looking to get to peace and tranquility at all times of your day, at all times of your life. So the meditation is just building certain qualities in your mind that then in your day-to-day life, you can be training your mind then too. Because when you're in traffic and somebody cuts you off in traffic, you need to be tranquil in that situation too. So if you have the qualities of meditation where you can be aware of your mind and you're noticing the anger coming up, then you can cut that off and let it go. Now you can be tranquil all the time. So you shouldn't look at it as meditation itself is producing the tranquility and now you need to carry that with you all through your day. Instead, look at it as your mind is developing certain qualities during your meditation, and now practice those qualities all throughout your day, and that's what's going to transform your mind to be able to then be tranquil all day long. That's what an enlightened being is experiencing.
Got it. Thank you. So my second question is related to what you mentioned about the craving for permanence, and specifically the expectation from the other person or partner over time. So oftentimes that's unnoticed. It's more like instinct, and then it becomes stronger over time. So my question is, how are we able to notice that, like, hidden thoughts in the first place? When now we know it, how to handle that, read that in.
Sure. So you're talking about your hidden thoughts, right? Okay. So if you've developed your mindfulness or your awareness of mind to the point where it needs to be developed, you won't have any hidden thoughts. You'll know every single thought that's in your mind. By the time you get to the jhanas, that's where you've fully developed your mindfulness. So you need to put together enough of each one of these factors that your mind actually moves into these jhanas, these preliminary phases that the mind experiences. These are enhanced qualities of mind. So between now and the jhanas, you might have these hidden thoughts, but the solution of how to get to the point where you don't have these any longer, where you can be fully aware of your entire mind, is to train with each individual factor, making sure you dial this in closer and closer to your life, not just the meditation, but all these other things too, because you need to be practicing all these factors at all times during your day. And now you'll get to the point where your mind ultimately moves into the jhanas, where you're experiencing those enhanced qualities, and you'll be aware of your mind all day long, every day. You'll know every single thought that's going through your mind. You won't have any hidden thoughts whatsoever. And this is very empowering for you, because you'll be able to see the unwholesome qualities, but you'll also be able to see the wholesome qualities in your mind too, so that you can cut off and eliminate the unwholesome, and then you can support and encourage the wholesome qualities in your mind.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, I think that might be all of our questions. Let me just check here online if we have anything coming in. Okay, I don't see any questions here online, and I don't see any here at the temple either. So what I'm going to do is just, oh, you have a question? Oh, you would like to do it after class or during class?
Yeah, right here.
Oh, you'd like to do it now? Okay.
Yeah.
This
well, I'm Poon. Okay. Just last night, a little bird told me that today is actually our teacher's birthday. So I would like to invite you guys to join me to sing a little birthday jingle to our teacher. How about that? To those who would like to join us, please, shall we? 3, 2, 1. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to David. Happy birthday to you.
Thank you. Yay.
I guess the little bird is around.
Yeah, Bailan. Yeah. Yes, today is my birthday. Thank you so much. So, so I'm just going to end class here by thanking you guys for the birthday song. Thank you for being interested to come here and learn the teachings of the Buddha, because the teachings of the Buddha will transform your life. They will transform your mind. They will transform your life. If you're interested in getting rid of the anger and the sadness and frustration, the broken relationships, the difficulties and struggles in your life, this is the way to do it. It actually works. That's the reason why it's been around for 2,500 years. But the challenge is that out in the world, there's a lot of misunderstandings. Even here in Thailand, you'll see people doing rites and rituals and ceremonies and worship and prayer and things like this that aren't actually the teachings of the Buddha. You'll see people that are believing things. And we don't judge those people. We don't look down on them. But it's just, if you are going to get to the peace and joy, you're going to need to study with the true teachings of the Buddha. Buddha, the actual words of the Buddha. So that's why this book series, it's titled The Words of the Buddha, The Path to Enlightenment, Revealing the Hidden, because you're going to need the original words of the Buddha to be able to understand the true teachings. And if you're interested in transforming your mind and transforming your life, there's help for you here to be able to do that. So if you would like help, you're more than welcome to come talk to me, and I'll be pleased to get you connected with all the resources that you need to be able to learn and grow and develop on this path. So on Friday, we actually have a social event here. If you guys would like to come on Friday at 6 p.m., we're going to have what's called a temple game fun night, where members from our community come here. We usually bring food and drinks and snacks, and we play board games and different things like this. You guys are more than welcome to come here and bring your friends and other people if you'd like. So at 6 p.m. on Friday, we have essentially like a party. So if you'd like to come here and have a little party with us, a good wholesome party, you're more than welcome to come here and do that on Friday. And then on Saturday and Sunday, I have classes here starting at 9 a.m. as well. So you guys are welcome to come for those. And then next week, we have classes Monday through Friday from 9 to 3. You're welcome to come to any part of this that you like. So if there's anything that you would like help with, just feel free to come let me know. I'll be pleased to help all of you guys. And perhaps I'll see you guys in a future class. Whatever you choose to do today, have a very lovely and wonderful rest of your day. We'll see you next time. Sawadee krap. Sawadee krap. Sawadee krap.
Thank you again for watching. Enjoy your meditation. Look forward to seeing you online and answering any questions that you might have. Thank you so much.